Hello everybody, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening depending on where you are in this amazing world. My name is Donovan Jolly and welcome everybody once again for another amazing video of DIY investing. I've been sharing with you guys a lot of bullish expectations over this last week because I see a lot of profitable setups playing out across the cryptocurrency space. What if I told you that there's two cryptocurrencies that are following an exact fractal of Amazon's early market cycle almost identically? If you would have bought Amazon at this exact price, you would have made over a 200x return in that cycle. But the cool thing about crypto is they'll make these same moves in about 5 times less amount of time. That means that you guys are setting yourselves up to make some of the biggest financial returns in history while also doing so in the least amount of time possible. We've never seen 24/7 markets quite like cryptocurrency where we can make life-changing amounts of wealth over what seems to be weeks or months in short periods of time. And that's why I've been such a big believer in this space. I've seen how much it's changed my life and I've wanted to be able to give that back to you guys. And right now I see two cryptocurrencies that are paving the way for immense wealth and profit potential. So make sure you guys stay all the way to the end of this video so you don't miss out on any of this analysis, because I promise that this is going to be the type of analysis that you're going to want to pay attention for, because you guys actually do have this opportunity to make this life-changing wealth with me. If you're new and just finding this channel, always remember to do myself a favor by leaving a like, comment, and subscribing to this channel for more updates. Make sure you guys click that notification bell too so you don't miss out on any new videos like the one provided for you here. Remember guys, I also have an amazing Discord community with over 4,000 members. We're getting super close to that goal of 5,000, so make sure you guys join the Discord server. It's totally free for anybody to join. It's a good way for you guys to actually engage with the rest of my community and as well as just talk crypto and share your own perspective. On my Discord server, I also offer some of my more exclusive content, like my video course and signals. So if you're somebody that wants to actually educate yourself on all of the resources and tools needed to be a profitable trader inside of this market, you guys are definitely going to want to check out the course. Now, the signals are actually a way for you guys to copy all of my trades and portfolio that I take along this bull run. It's dedicated specifically towards my longer term portfolio. You guys will know exactly what my entries and exits are, as well as what I'm allocated to what percentage of each investment. And then you guys can also copy all of my short-term swing trades that I post in there as well. So this is a good way for you guys to copy and be profitable alongside with me. So make sure you guys join the Discord server below. Click in the description and then click the invitation link to join. Once you guys have access, shoot me a message and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. But with all that being said, guys, we got a lot of really exciting things to talk about of Chainlink and Tezos. These are the two best performing cryptocurrencies at the bull run. So without further ado, let's jump right in this video today. Now, before we jump into the altcoin analysis, I want to talk about some things with Bitcoin. We're not going to spend much time here, so don't worry. We will be quickly jumping into this altcoin analysis. Now, really what I want to talk to you guys about today is an entry box that I've drawn, because it does appear that we are getting met with some resistance. Obviously, we're going to have to see how the weekly closes 6 days from now, so we do have plenty of time to kind of see what happens. This candle can still close very bullish. We could also get that pullback that I've kind of been expecting, and so I wanted to make sure that we're all updated with what I've kind of been watching inside of this market. Now, overall, on a long-term perspective, this is how I see the overall correction playing out. I see this as a big triangle correction, and we're just building and coiling momentum before we really break out high on the upside. And so with what we've seen thus far, I mean, we have an entire run that has built us, and now we've just been kind of triangulating inside of this coiling triangle pattern. And these are oftentimes what we see before a big expansive move. And so that's why I've thought, you know, with all of this coiling, this was the accumulation. And when we start to break out, it's going to happen really, really quickly, and it's going to leave most people behind. And that's really why I've been so adamant about telling everybody that when the prices are cheap like this, it's a really good opportunity to accumulate, because I've always been a bias towards this bullish picture. I've always had this bias. And the reason for that is because I strongly believe in the trend of Bitcoin and what is formed. And, you know, a lot of people might disagree, and a lot of people might be expecting, you know, sub $3,000 levels. But for me personally, I just have to disagree with that. I think that this is coiling before we have a big breakout. And with us coming so close to that halving, I think that that'll happen in the next 6 to 12 months. Now, what we're seeing right here is this entry box. I have this labeled at 6,400 down to 5,800. And if you guys know why, basically 6,400 or the top of the box was our New Year's support right here at 6,400 before we broke up to like 10.5. And this took us to the final sell-off. Now, This was also almost the average point of this 6K support cluster that we saw in the bear market. And then 5,800 is just this lower one here, and 5,800 is basically the very bottom of this 6K support cluster. This was where the lowest wicks hit, and this would have been the lowest point of that support. And so I've labeled here because I figured that this was going to be a pretty big area of demand. Now, I thought that we were going to get some resistance here during the initial breakout. A lot of people expected that. However, we just broke up and kind of proved everybody wrong. And so because we broke up so fast and easily, most people weren't expecting that we were ever going to get back down in these low levels again. Only it was a slow grind, and we managed to sweep those lows again at the new year. We bounced up. There wasn't enough momentum, and then that sold us pretty strongly for a capitulation. Now, because we sold back through this level so quick, I think most people are writing off this level entirely because, we didn't stop and hesitate at resistance. We broke through, and then we didn't stop and hesitate at support. We smashed through it again on the upside. And so, because of this, I think that this is just I believe that this is just coiling tighter and tighter towards a happy medium of this 6K support range. And I think that this is about the average price or the mean price that we're going to see inside of this bear market correction. And so the fact that we have an opportunity to buy it, 7K to 5K, right around that range, is a really good opportunity. And I think that that's going to be the best places to be accumulating your spot entries for this cycle. And so I want to talk about some things here because I think that it's likely that we are going to get a short-term correction that's going to take us down to, anywhere from 64 to 5,800. It is possible we could even break lower than that, but if we break below 58, it's going to start to recognize that I foresee a little bit of short-term weakness, and I don't want to see us stay at those levels for very long. But after that is when I would expect an actual breakout, and then that's going to take us to this descending resistance. And so that's personally what I want to be watching out for with Bitcoin. Overall, if we do see a short-term correction, don't get so freaked out. Don't get shaken out. Just understand that, we're just coiling and this is accumulation. There's going to be a lot of volatility, and that's why it's important to stick to a long-term plan and trade that through. For me, I've always been, this is a 18-month hold at least, 1 to 2 years time frame. And for me, what we're seeing here is just more or less volatility. We're averaging back down on this happy medium price at 6K. I think that shows more reasons to be bullish because, the bulls and the bears are coming to a stalemate that winds us right back at this support cluster. So I'm going to do my part by investing. I'm going to continue to average into my positions. It just seems like the most logical explanation in my opinion. All right, guys, this takes us to the most important part of this analysis, which is my altcoin analysis. Today we're going to be taking a look at Tezos, and we're going to be taking a look at Chainlink, because both of these cycles are following the original Amazon cycle almost identically. Now, for you guys that maybe do not know, the Amazon cycle, let's pull it out to a bigger time frame so we can start to see. This takes us all the way back to the internet bubble, and that internet bubble was this market cycle here. Big parabolic run, and it was followed by a big crash on the downside, like 94%. And then what happened was this sideways accumulation. We made higher highs before breaking out and then going into a very, very parabolic cycle. And to this day, it's still breaking out and making new all-time highs. And so what I want to talk about here is this original market cycle, kind of why I think it plays to the current cycle in cryptocurrency, and we're going to show the analysis on why I think it's so correlated between Chainlink and Tezos. Because guys, Chainlink and Tezos have been the two best performing altcoins since the very bottom of Bitcoin's capitulation at $3,200. They have maintained higher highs and higher lows when the rest of the market has barely kind of trended sideways, or some even have went for lower lows. And so they've showed a lot of strength, which is why I've invested a lot into them, which is why I trust that those investments will be wise over this next cycle. Even if I don't make quite the same percent return as maybe investing in a mid cap, it's more consistent, and it will be a consistent hold that'll be outperforming the rest of the market. So here we have this original cycle. I'm going to pull up the chart of Chainlink, and then we're going to be pulling up the chart of Tezos, because I think both of these are highly correlated between this. And, guys, it doesn't necessarily matter if they're an online marketplace or not, and, they are different than Amazon. Amazon's not a cryptocurrency, but the human emotions that are created inside of a market cycle stay the same, and it's all universal. It doesn't matter if it's, a commodity, it doesn't matter if it's a stock, they will show the same human emotions, and you can see the same similarities. Now, first up we have Tezos. Now this Tezos doesn't show the entire last cycle, and the reason for that is because if you go to any major exchange that trades Tezos, the oldest living history that we have is from about right here. We made one more low, And then from there, it just takes us to present day. And we've just had this short-term uptrend forming, right? Now, the reason why I wanted to bring this up is because it's almost the same as Bitcoin. If you look at exchange data from Bitcoin, most of the Bitcoin chart only starts at, maybe like $400 and then or down to like $200 if you look at Coinbase, and then all it shows is one big bull run, right? And that's the reason for that is because smart money is the exchanges. Smart money are the early adopters of these cryptos. The exchanges get them added, and then it makes the price go crazy, right? And so this is an early cycle, and I believe that that's why it's closely correlated with what we're seeing in Amazon. And if we pull this up here, we're going to start to see the same similarities. And let's actually go through and analyze it real quick before I jump into it too much. Basically, we have this bottom. The bottom is the accumulation phase. This was the lowest point of the market cycle before we end up making our first higher high. And then we kind of consolidate here for a little while. And then we end up breaking out and going into a pretty decent sized impulse. But this entire move is a one wave. And if I had the Elliott waves drawn, it would look something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And that's the way that the Elliott waves work. And we can see that this is just one big one wave. And we've only ever had an uptrend sustaining since the December lows of that new year, right? And what we're seeing today is almost the exact same thing playing out inside of Amazon way back in the day. We get the lows. This is where we accumulate. We end up making our first higher high right here. We kind of stop and round out. We make our first leg up and round out here for breaking up and then having one big impulse before rejecting and then falling rather rapidly back down to, these lower support levels down in here. And this is the exact same thing that happened both in Amazon and in Tezos recently. And that's why I've been really bullish on what we're seeing in Tezos. Chainlink's also doing this, but right now we're looking at Tezos. And I think that this is a very interesting correlation here because, this is just one cycle, a big pump, and then a big crash. And this is the same thing that happened inside of Tezos. Realistically, we had a big market cycle and a big crash. And from that crash, we were starting our first impulses. And this is the same thing that happened inside of Amazon way back in the day. And if I actually take the Tezos chart and lay it down here, you guys are going to see how correlated these really are. We get the same rounded bottom accumulation period. We get the same breakout and make our first macro higher high. And then what follows is a big impulse into that final 5 wave. And that finishes our 1 wave impulse, right? And now what I mean by this when I'm talking about all of these Elliott waves, because it might not make a whole lot of sense. Basically what that means is that this was a big, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 impulse, right? And so what that means is that this entire move was just a 1 wave. And this was the first sell-off into the 2 before we started going super parabolic, right? And, I can't even see all the way up here to draw what the Elliott waves would look like. To me, it would look something like this. This entire thing would have been the 1. This would have been the 3. And now we're working on the final 5 wave impulse back up. And so, realistically, guys, this is what we still have to find inside of Tezos today. And to me, that's what it looks like. This entire internet bubble was just a big 1 wave. And then this entire move upwards until the corona pandemic was the 3 wave. And now, in my opinion, we're working on that final 5 wave impulse back up. And that's the way I think it'll look. In my opinion, I think that we're going to see close to a $5,000 Amazon stock price. And, guys, that seems really crazy, and a lot of you will be looking at this and be screaming moon boy at me. But the reason why is because this is an ascending triangle breakout, and this is oftentimes what happens before the biggest impulse inside of that sequence. And if we pull up Coinbase, we're going to see, roughly the same sort of thing happen inside of Ethereum in the last cycle. We can see that we had this big breakout, this big parabolic run, and then right here is where we went into this ascending triangle, right? And then the ascending triangle took us into this big parabolic run, which is, the exact reason why I personally believe that Amazon itself, is basically following this exact same trend. And realistically, we just broke out of this ascending triangle. And so I believe that there's going to be a lot more upside. And so, with what we're seeing inside of Tezos today, because these are so correlated and we're seeing almost the identical market cycles here, what's going to come next in Chainlink is a big impulse. Because realistically, this entire move from, down in here at like 40 cents to $4 or whatever it went to, this is just a big 1 wave. And if we looked at what happened with if we look at what happened with Amazon, what's going to happen with Tezos is a huge parabolic run where we could see it go to like $100 and beyond. Guys, it really does pay to get early on in these market cycles because this is where you make the most life-changing wealth. Now let's actually remove this and let's pull up the Chainlink chart because this one is also very, very correlated. Basically what we have here is the first major breakout impulse inside of Chainlink, and we're going to label that over this chart here, and we're going to start to see kind of how it correlates itself with this example here. Now let's go. Now let's draw it over here. Let's spread it out a little bit so we can get a better comparison. And then we're going to start to understand how it works here. Now basically we get the same sort of chart as Tezos. There's a little bit of a difference, whereas this higher high right here is actually comes all the way back down in about 88% retrace of this move, whereas this one right here on Amazon makes a retrace of the 618, so it was only about 60%. But then what happened was this breakout that took us close to the cycle high, same thing that happened here inside of Amazon. This one was even more parabolic than the one that happened inside of Amazon. So there are going to be a little bit of a difference, but nonetheless, the reason I'm so big on both of these with Tezos and Chainlink is because Tezos and Chainlink are the most correlated out of the rest of the altcoins. And so because Tezos and Chainlink are also so correlated in price, the fact that I'm seeing this correlation as far as the Amazon comparison makes me very bullish long term for these, because I think what we're seeing is just an early market cycle with a lot of profit potential. And we can see that right here. Overall, we get the same sort of cycle. We get the cycle high up here, we top out, we fall right here, we kind of round out. We even make the same pattern. We make this little inverse head and shoulder pattern, and we get the same thing inside of Amazon. Before we break up, get rejected, we fall, kind of round out here, and then we break up again, and then we get this quick sell-off back down. And this is very, very correlated with what we're seeing today inside of Chainlink. And that's why I'm super confident in these investments, is because even though these have dropped a little bit stronger, this was a very strong sell-off compared to an Amazon. It wasn't as volatile. Cryptos are going to be more volatile. But the thing is, guys, we're seeing almost the exact same correlations here. The market cycles never lie because it's the market cycles themselves that are governed by human emotion. The fact that we can start to see these, the fact that we've seen how they've played out in times past and we're seeing almost the exact same correlations, guys, we have a lot of reasons to be bullish leading up right close to this halving. There's a lot of chaos and uncertainty in the world. There's a lot of people that are going to be looking for online jobs to make money. And guys, there's a lot of profit potential in crypto. They're going to start looking at ways to make money online. They're going to start to hear stories of people that made millions of dollars off of getting in early with crypto. And they're going to try to do the same thing this cycle around. And so I don't understand the big fear that we're seeing everywhere. In my opinion, this is just almost like the Amazon chart. It's just more volatile. And we're really close here to this final point. And really, if I take this over here, we're going to see that this is almost just an exact example of what we're seeing today in Tezos and Chainlink as well. We get that strong sell-off and we crash super hard. And then we're basically right here in Tezos and in Chainlink. Or if I hide this over here, let's take a look. We're basically right here, where we're kind of consolidating before we break up again. And, what happened shortly after in Amazon was a big parabolic run, which is why I'm super confident in what we're seeing here. I think that this is a solid investment. The fact that Amazon is still breaking out and going higher, and I expect it to go much higher from here, I think that this is going to in turn kind of pull the rest of the crypto markets up with it. Even though there's a lot of fear and uncertainty, I think that there's way more reason to be bullish, and so I'm not going to fight that trend. Everybody do with this analysis what they will. I just wanted to share with you guys my perspective moving forward. But with all that being said, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. With all that being said, I'll catch you guys in the next video. As always, peace out.